Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here, coming at you with another edition of the Cons Cast. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about The Division 2 for the PlayStation 4. This title was sent to me by Ubisoft so that I could give it a look and tell you guys my opinions on it. And I realize that I'm extremely late to the party when it comes to The Division 2. I've received quite a number of requests from you guys to check out the game and to play the game and all of that stuff. And there is a number of reasons as to why I didn't get into it sooner. One of the main reasons is because I wanted to focus a lot of my efforts in covering Sekiro. And with The Division 2 launching so close to Sekiro, I was basically forced into making a decision because at the end of the day, I'm just a one-man crew here. I don't have a team of people editing my videos or anything like that. It's just little old me. So I got to decide, okay, I'm either covering this or I'm covering that. And at the launch window of this game, I opted for covering Sekiro. The other reason is also because I really only received my code last week. So there's also that. But anyway, this isn't going to be like a review. This is more going to be my impressions after having played the game for a bit of time. Now, the interesting thing here is when I initially played this game in the beta, you guys might remember I did a big live stream with it, and I played quite a bit of the game. I don't know why, but a lot of the stuff just didn't click with me. I was having trouble adapting to the UI. I remember that being one of the bigger things. And whenever I looked up a gun, it's like, oh, here's the rate of fire. Here's the number of bullets in the magazine, and here's the damage. And I was like, can you just like calculate that? Give me like a straight up DPS number? And now I understand, now that I've played the game more, it's like, I understand that a lot of the people that actually play this game, they want to not just have the DPS of the weapons. It's actually something that at least from my understanding, it's actually something that the players want to be able to plan and be like, no, I want this gun because it's got a little bit more magazine or it fires a little bit faster than the other one. The feel of the guns is particularly important to the gameplay itself, which, you know, is obvious, but at the same time, when you are leveling up as fast as you do in the early game, I almost still feel like I would like to have the DPS there, but after having played for quite a few hours, it stops really being a problem because I look at every gun that I pick up and I can immediately tell, okay, this is a gun that I want to use, this is not a gun that I want to use, and I can easily compare it to the ones that I have, and it's actually really, really easy to use the UI, which like I said, at first glance during the beta particular, I was like, damn, what is going on with this UI? It's super easy after you've played a couple of hours. So if my live stream kind of puts you off with the UI talk that I've discussed in that live stream, just know that after having played it a couple of more hours in the full version, everything feels just fine. The other thing that actually feels great, because I played the original Division both on PC as well as on PS4, and when one of the things that I noticed on this one is that the navigation, the traversal, just like moving your character through the battlefield, putting him into cover, getting out of cover, it's just like, I don't know all of the details of all the little things that they've changed because I haven't really been following the Division 2 super close, but I can tell you right now that moving your character in the Division 2, at least from what I remember from the Division 1, feels significantly superior. It feels a lot better navigating from cover to cover, or just like running up to cover, pressing the button to enter cover. It's just like when it comes to all of the cover mechanics around the Division 2, I really enjoy all of them. And I think this is probably, if not the best cover shooter that I've ever played. It's definitely one of the best cover shooters, although I don't tend to play that many of them, so, you know, take that opinion with a grain of salt, but I do feel that the cover-based mechanics are really, really solid in this. The skills that you unlock, I've only unlocked 3 skills or so at this point, but I've watched a lot of footage of people using the other skills, and you can actually watch each of the individual skills before you unlock them, so you get an idea for what the game has in store for you with all of the other different skills that are available, and I do like quite a few of those skills. I was wondering if the shield was going to feel not that great, because I remember that when I used shield in the Division 1, you guys know I like to use shield because it's a whole theme of mine to be able to shield slam enemies and do all of that stuff. It's a personal thing. Not a lot of people are going to pay that much attention to, you know, who cares about the shield skill being good or being bad, but for me it is important, right? And in this game they actually give you like different variants of what you can do with the shield. And I got the one that you can put the gun on top of it, and that feels so nice with a shotgun, which is another thing that I like. I like shotguns. I don't know how good they are in the meta. Like I said, I'm not even close to endgame. I haven't even unlocked like the advanced classes that you get once you actually finish leveling up to 30 or whatever you get. You unlock more classes and unlock further progression within the game. I haven't gotten anywhere close to that because I'm doing the whole completionist thing. I'm getting to a new zone. I'm looking for the shade tech caches, and I'm doing a couple of side activities in between. I'm not in any rush at all. But it does feel nice to every now and then just pop my shield up, pop the shotgun, run right into them, like bang, die. Pretty sure I'm not going to be able to do that kind of stuff at endgame, but right now it's a pretty neat power fantasy. By the way, I started a clan on PS4. If you guys want to join in, just look for Ironbreakers. Should be fairly easy to find. But anyway, usually in these videos, I tend to start by talking about visuals and sound, and this time I just kind of like got derailed a little bit into talking about the mechanics and how I've been enjoying the game and all of that stuff. But let's start talking about visuals. So I think that visually the game looks really, really good. It doesn't look like a major upgrade from the Division 1, I think, in some ways, but in a lot of ways it does. And here's the reasons why, right? So you look at this and you look at some footage from the Division 1, and some people might even make the case that, you know, there's not that much difference. Naturally, you know, there is a little bit more polished up in terms of textures and stuff like that. But the thing that I find the most different is that whereas when in Division 1, whenever you were playing, it was pretty much just like urban jungle, just like urban. Everything was urban, buildings everywhere. And there were very few green areas. There was very few room for having a little bit more of a richer color palette. And that is definitely something that you get in the Division 2. There are some areas that you can see some overgrowth of nature actually growing into the city and all that stuff. You see deer walking around the city. I don't remember if that was a thing in the Division 1 or not. It's been a long time since I played that game. But you definitely do feel more variety in the types of environments that you play in. Another thing that I really like is that even in side missions, sometimes they'll do stuff that I did not expect with the engine. Like they'll blow open a wall and enemies will start pouring out of the wall. And, you know, I kind of classify that as part of like engine visuals, animations, all that stuff. You know, the destructible environments that you can actually have on some of those missions. I don't know how scripted all that stuff is. I mean, I'm assuming most of it is scripted, but it feels nice to see that kind of interaction even in side missions. So from a visual standpoint, from an animation standpoint, I like just about everything about it, with a little bit of a side note when it comes to melee, because I feel that melee feels a little bit awkward with the animations of your characters and even the animations of enemy characters who sometimes just like run up to you and then they stop to do their melee attack, and you can just like double press X to dodge backwards and they'll just stand there swinging at air. It feels a little bit awkward in those moments, so the melee I feel is a little bit awkward when it comes to playing the game. There's something of a weird element there. But anyways, as I was talking about visuals and all that stuff, everything feels great. The special effects that they do sometimes feel a little bit disruptive. Like I remember when I was around the EMP, there's a mission where there's these EMP things going off. I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be plenty of missions like that. And that thing was completely messed up. Now, I'm not sure if that is intentional, because, you know, there's EMPs going off and all of these things. But it's like EMPs are supposed to affect electronics equipment. Like, why would they mess up your agent's vision? Because I was really just like, you can't see a fucking thing. It's so weird, like these bubbles and waves floating out of these EMP emitters. That was weird. Like, it was a really cool effect from a visual standpoint, but it really affected the gameplay as well. Again, that could just be intentional. That could just be something that they want you to feel disoriented when you're around those EMP emitters, and that's fine. It's just something that I noticed. Now, when it comes to sound, I wish that the sounds of weapons were a little bit beefier, but maybe this is the way these weapons actually sound in real life. I can't really tell, because usually when I see weapons, it tends to be, you know, in Hollywood movies, and we all know they exaggerate the crap out of that stuff. So maybe in a more military setting, this is what the weapons sound like, and that's fine. But some of the weapons, I feel like they lack a little bit of a oomph. You just like, you can barely hear the guns, which, you know, usually I don't know. I just wish they had a little bit more meat to them. Maybe this feels better for some people. I'm actually curious to know. Let me know in the comment section below how you feel in regards to the sounds of weapons. I just wish they were more meaty, but it's not something that bothers me to the point it's like, oh man, I can't even play the game because these goddamn gun sounds. You know, nothing like that. On the other hand, though, the music, oh my god, I love the dynamic music that they put in this game. I've said as much in the beta. I friggin' love what they did with the music in this game, to the point where I'm actually a little bit sad that the music already comes pretty fine to maximum volume, and the maximum volume is not as loud as I would like. Like, I really wish that you could boost up the music significantly more than what the default game setting is, because I like it that much. And I'm not sure if that is because I'm biased to the types of themes that they have on the game, but it just feels really good when the music starts kicking in, or even when you finish the mission, then they give you those guitar strings. Dun, 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 dun. You know, I really, really dug that. I cannot stress enough that the work that the artists have done with the music did not go unnoticed on me. Like I said, I wanted more. I want to be able to boost that volume higher to the point where I can barely hear the game sounds because I like the damn music so much. As a matter of fact, I actually wish that the music was a little bit more prevalent in the game too, because like sometimes you'll be just exploring the city and stuff and there's just like silence and you just hear the birds chirping or something, and then you hear a couple of chatter from enemies or allies talking about what they're doing, and there really isn't music in some of those times. And I just wish like come up with something to just put it in there, because you guys did such a good job with that. That's pretty much the way I feel. Now, when it comes to the Division 2 as a game, it's actually a very interesting thing that has taken place here, which is, if you really look at Division 2 in comparison with all of the other games in this genre, like you got your Anthems and your Destinies and, you know, just basically games as a live service, I find that it is an interesting thing to say that basically the Division 2 is the only one of these games that launched feature complete, I guess. And I say this after having seen a lot of content on YouTube of people that are doing the end game activities and all of that stuff and all of the things that you can do in the game, as well as just the sheer number of activities that I've ran across as I've played the game from the beginning. Because just like even now, if I just open up the map on my character, there's so many things. There's like, hey, here's all these shade caches. Here's all these side missions that you can go do right now. And the side missions are actually fun. There's actually dialogues in these side missions. There's sometimes strange events. Like I said, when I was in this side mission inside a hotel where they just like demolished the wall and people started pouring in, I was like, this is a side mission. You know, just like what kind of a budget did these guys put on these side missions? Because and it is strange, because usually you're just used to side missions being something completely trivial that nobody really cares about. But at least the ones that I've done so far appear to have, you know, some of them even have like follow-up side missions that you can do. There appears to be a certain degree of polish that you usually don't tend to find in side missions in these kinds of games. And that's what I'm talking about when I mean by feature complete, because there's all these missions, there's all these activities to do, there's the main story missions, there's unlockable things that you can do and get more skills and get more, what are the other things called, perks, and get more perks, and, you know, engage with the crafting system if you want to, and modify your guns, and all of these things that you can do, and everything is just in the game from the moment that you start playing. And I understand that probably there's some people that have been playing the game for hundreds and hundreds of hours, and they're like, oh, I've done everything now. And it's like, well, yes, but how many hours did you put into the game up until the point where you got to that point that you've done everything? And there's still a lot more content coming to the game beyond that, from my understanding. That is actually one of the other reasons that I was hesitant about the Division 2 is I don't like one of the things that they're doing with the upcoming content, which is some people get the content a week early and other people have to wait for a week before they actually get the content. Now, everybody's going to get the content in the end, but I don't like this sort of like, oh no, the peasants get the content later, people that pay more get the content earlier. I've never liked that. I've criticized that aspect of Anthem. I'll keep criticizing that aspect of every single game that does that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, everybody is still going to get that content, and you are going to get more and more things to do in the Division. It's going to be a game that I believe that people will be able to play for a very long time. And ultimately, it's like if you like cover-based shooters, this is pretty much a no-brainer. If you like cover-based shooters with RPG mechanics, though, mind you, because this is not the kind of game where you're behind cover and you take a headshot and they die. No, take a headshot might take away like half their health, depending on the difficulty tier that you're playing at. Because it's my understanding that once you finish, then world tier goes up and you go above you go through the different tiers of difficulty, and then that is when you start getting more and better and more specialized loot. But it's like, the thing that I think defines this game in a lot of ways is, again, it's the only one of its genre that feels like a launch complete. At least that's personally the way that I feel from what I've played of it so far, from the content that I've seen of it so far. It launched complete. It's got pretty much everything that you could want to spend a reasonable amount of hours in a game to justify your investment in the game. But at the same time, I feel like once you've played a couple of hours of it, the game doesn't change that much. Like, I don't know how much it will change once you start getting into the specialized class and whatnot. Like, sure, I know that you get a new weapon, like your signature weapon. I remember that stuff from the beta because I played whichever guy had the grenade launcher and stuff. So, you have that. Some things do change, but ultimately you are still playing a cover-based shooter. So it's like, if you like that gameplay that you experience at the very start of the game, you'll probably love the rest of it because it's pretty much the same thing. You do evolve, you do get better loot, you do start doing some damage, you do change some of the tactics that you use depending on the skills that you have. Like I myself right now, I'm using the cluster seeker bomb thing, whatever that is, and the shield with the shotgun. So I do get to invest in different playstyles. Like I'll open up a fight by throwing my cluster grenades, and they'll cause a big explosion, big mess. The enemies are like, "What the hell's going on?" And then I start popping people off with my rifle. It's not a marksman rifle, whatever. It's not the sniper one. It's the other rifle that you get. I start popping them off from a distance, and then whenever they get close enough, I swap into the shotgun and I start mowing people down. It's really cool. It's a really cool playstyle. It feels very much like a playstyle that is designed around me, and I feel like people will be able to select their own playstyles depending on the things that they like to do. There's also support skills so that you can have a more support-oriented build. I mean, I say build, but I'm not even close to doing builds. Builds will be like at the very end of the game. But it's like you can play a more support-oriented role if that is something that you enjoy. You can heal your teammates, stuff like that. And it does make for a good group experience, in my opinion, particularly if you have a bunch of friends that also are interested in this game. Then yes, I can wholeheartedly recommend it to you because it is a lot of fun. It does have a lot of content. And, there's not really that many downsides that I can identify from what I've played so far, because the gameplay is solid, the cover-based mechanics are solid, the team-based shooting feels good, the gunplay feels good. Just about everything from a gunplay standpoint feels particularly solid. It just doesn't feel super different throughout your evolution of the game. Like the only thing that has changed since I started playing was when I got my second skill, and it's like, oh, now I have the shield and this special grenade, and I can do a couple of different approaches, which is not a bad thing. That's what I'm getting at. There's nothing bad about the Division 2 that I can just be like, oh, this is the aspect that I didn't like. And I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm going to keep playing throughout the game, and I'm going to keep exploring how much you can actually, customize your character once you get to the end and once you get to the more advanced classes and stuff like that. As with the previous Division, there's also a lot of customization for your character. You're able to change your clothings completely, and most of the equipment that you equip is stuff that just like kind of sits on top of your clothes, but it's not armor that actually covers your clothes. So like you have your backpack, you have your knee pads, you have like your body armor and stuff like that. These are all things that go on top, but from a cosmetic perspective, you can change just about everything in your character. You can change his pants, change his boots, change your hat, change sunglasses or regular glasses, whatever you want to do. So there is quite a bit of degree in terms of control that you get when it comes to deciding what your characters look like. In this one, you can even paint some of your weapons and some of your more rare armor pieces. Like I was able to paint my gun with the Patriot colors, which is basically red, white, blue, and there's blue stars across the guns. It's like the most American thing you can think of. It's a gun that's painted with the red, white, and blue. But you know, there are a lot of cosmetic options there. There's also like an in-game store that I haven't really seen that much about, but naturally you can buy loot boxes for cosmetics and stuff like that. But as far as I can tell, you know, the game still awards you with cosmetics at a reasonable pace. I think that some of those cosmetics, particularly emotes and stuff like that, some of them are going to be exclusive to the store, but that is such a minor aspect of playing the game that I don't really think that is a major problem, particularly if the game is going to be supported for as long as Ubisoft has been supporting their other games, because Ubisoft actually has a really good track record of supporting these games and, you know, actually evolving the gameplay and keeping them updated with new stuff. Regardless of how the game itself performs, they have a good track record of this stuff. And in the case of The Division 2, it is a game that, for all intents and purposes, I believe is performing pretty well, especially coming after the complete failed launch that was Anthem, which still makes me a little bit sad because, as you guys know, I played a crap ton of Anthem, and I just spent a couple of hours in Division 2, and I'm like, yeah, this is much more feature complete. It's got much more stuff, and it's a bit of a shame that Anthem came out the way that it did. And as someone that also played Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, again, the Division 2 just delivers on so many more fronts than these other games did, that, you know, it's just something that is not normal. It's a sad state of affairs that we're in when, you know, the exceptional product is the one that actually delivers and actually releases feature complete, and they keep adding stuff onto it. But that's where we're at. So it's like, when it comes to Division 2, personally, I like what I've played of it so far. I think most people that appreciate this type of gameplay that you're watching on screen right now will most likely enjoy this game. It is a no-brainer, particularly if you have friends that also play it. It will become a lot more fun. So it's just one of those things. I realized that I'm particularly late to this, and I wanted to cover it, but, you know, that's just the way these things go. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed it, leave me a comment in the comment section. Hit it up with a like. If you guys are new here, subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon. Stay strong, and may your shields never break.